Welcome,
No.
welcome, welcome. It Came From GenX is busting into your homes throughout the radio, throughout the podcast, throughout your computers. But we are here again to talk about life through the eyes of Generation X. I am your host, Keith Porter, along with your other host. Not only are they my hosts, but they are my best friends, Mr. Michael Skinner, Mr. Brian Fisher. What's going on, fellas?
Hey Keith, how's it going, man? So
Hey.
we're doing a second take here because we got partway into the show and realized that we didn't start the Skype recording.
Wow,
so,
you really gonna front him like that?
Yeah, stole it right out there.
Way to go, Fish.
He just
He just flattened me under the bus, didn't he?
Dude.
Yep. So we had no video last week because we were trying some newfangled apps and stuff like that.
Why don't you just flick him up, man? Come on, Fish.
There's evidence out there on TikTok, but yeah. So we got it together now. We got it together now. So yeah.
Also, Skinner ran over a bus of orphans too. I'm too whiz.
My goodness,
brother, man.
I see how this show's going to turn out this week.
I know, right?
My goodness.
What's going on, Skinner? How you doing today, man?
Hey, doing well. Little sore today. Feeling my Gen X age. Started the framing and work in the basement for the new room, and realized that I'm not a spring chicken anymore, to say the least. Woke up sore as a Dickens, but got better as the day gone on. Busy weekend. Spent some time with Marcy and family. Got the basement going, so we have a place to hang out in the wintertime versus my dining room. But doing well. Great to see you guys.
Try to do some basement work myself. Unfortunately, I can't count on anybody to show up. Trying to build my music room down there. I never thought I would get to a part in my life where there was no one I could count on. But that's where I am right now. And like you said, I just can't do things I used to. So I need a little bit of help. But I'll get it done. But I got to spend some time with the family today, too. Did some shopping. Just totally redid my summer wardrobe today. Sometimes you look at stuff, you just don't want to see it anymore. So I probably went to about 3 different stores, bought all new shirts from each one, all new shorts, sports shorts, gym shorts, khaki shorts, the whole 9 yards. And got to spend some great time with Mom and my 2 sisters. So it was pretty good. How about you, Fish?
Yeah, it was a nice time with Allie and some friends this weekend. Actually, I didn't mention it. I went down and got my first vaccine shot on Saturday, as I mentioned to you guys. I had to drive up about an hour. It's a smaller town, down in Carrollton, actually down by where Coop's family is down there. Absolutely. So yeah, beautiful little town and all that. Very well organized. Went to a local Rite Aid. I was very impressed. They had it, organized. You're in and out of there fairly quickly. No problems. I was a little bit warm driving home, but it's just the first shot. I'm getting the Pfizer shot, or I got the Pfizer shot, excuse me. So yeah, so far so good. Nice peace of mind for me personally. I know we talked about that last week, and all that, but so did that Saturday. Mom went with me, bless her heart, to give me some support. We had a nice car ride.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I got out in the sun a little bit with Allie after she helped me set up a new TV and got to see me at my best with my frustration and technology at times and stuff like that. So, but we got it going. We got it together.
And my only disappointment for my weekend, I didn't get to see my son. So hopefully get some time with him soon.
That's good.
But hey, look, guys, last week we had the return of the fourth Musketeer. John Cooper himself was with us. And for those of you who are new to the show, we are the guys from Reality Football. And this is our new show. We hope you enjoy it. For those of you who do follow us, Mom and my sister, as you know, Cooper has been on what we call a sabbatical, but he did return last week for a surprise appearance, and he was in rare form. We have FCC violations all over the place, but hey, just fines. We'll pay off. No big deal.
Yeah, he'll come back. As we all know, he's finishing up some family obligations, and those are kind of nearing an end of what he's working on.
Right.
He's helping his family get a house for sale and everything like that. So he's very skilled in all that home improvement stuff.
Yes,
so
he is.
He's working on that.
His wife, Amy, they're phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. So
but it was good to have them back. The laughs were great. And I thought last week was a tremendous show.
Yep.
Personally, we had some very serious topics as well as a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. So, hey,
Yep.
how about we get this thing cracking, boys? You ready?
Well, let me mention first of all, guys, if you don't mind. So you might be listening to us. This is where you can be found real quick. You might be
Absolutely.
listening. Yeah, you might be listening to us right now on WMVU.org.
Mhm.
Monday nights, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. That's a global internet radio. Just pull up WMVU.org and you can find us there. We're on all major podcast platforms. To search us, it came from Gen X. Look for our logo with the rubber duck monster shooting lasers out of his eyes. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. You can also ask your home assistant device to play the It Came From Gen X podcast, and she will play us from the comfort of your home. Our Facebook page, all show information's there, links to everything at It Came From Gen X on Facebook. YouTube channel, also It Came From Gen X. You can also find us on Instagram, It Came From _Gen X. Twitter, at came_gen. Look for It Came From Gen X on Twitter there too. And finally, TikTok at It Came From Gen X 330. You can also email us at camefromgenx330 at gmail.com. So if everything I said is like, what the hell you just say, go back to our Facebook page at It Came From Gen X. All information's there. We post links to everything there, podcasts, our YouTube videos, everything's there, plus a lot of fun stuff with conversation and memes and all kinds of good stuff. And
Absolutely.
we also want to say, over the last 2 weeks, we gained a lot of likes on our page from all over the country, literally. So we're not
That's
huge
awesome.
by any stretch of the imagination yet, but we picked up close to 50 followers and likes over the past 2 weekends. So if
Tremendous.
you're listening to us for the first time, thank you. We appreciate the
Yes.
support. If there are topics and things that you're interested in hearing us talk about or whatever on future episodes, email us, and we're happy to take those under
Or
consideration.
on the Facebook page.
Or on the Facebook page, yes.
Right.
Go to our page. You can click a button, email the show right there on our Facebook page. You can email us there or comment, either way, whatever you're comfortable with.
All right.
And we're happy to take that into consideration. So thank you, current fans. Hello, new fans.
Absolutely.
So glad to have you a part of this.
Because it's our inaugural year, I'll just quickly
right.
explain.
Sure.
Again, we are the guys from Reality Football. Football season ended. We are 30-year plus longtime friends. With everything going on in the world, we did not want to lose what we had. So this show is an original birth baby out of our minds. It came from Gen X, just a world topics from a Generation X point of view, making fun of Generation X, making fun of millennials, and also just sharing a multitude of thoughts and looking at things from those perspectives. So I hope you guys enjoy it. We hope it's a show. We think it's a show for all ages. I think everybody can get something out of it and get some good laughs and whatnot. So with that in mind, we're going to throw it on over to our good friend, Mr. Michael Skinner, with world news. And what's going on, Skinbone? What we got today, man?
Hi, guys. Yeah, first one right out of the gate, very new and probably something still fresh in our minds from 2013. The Boston Marathon bomber. Remember the Boston Marathon in 2013?
Just for the record, there is nothing fresh in my mind from 2013. I'm still... Yesterday is hazy, but go ahead.
I gotcha. Well, the Supreme Court is retrying the Boston Marathon bomber for the death penalty reinstatement.
Wow.
The lower courts throughout the death penalty, stating errors during the trial tainted the sentencing. What it said is that the lower trial judge failed to ensure a fair jury after wall-to-wall media coverage of the attack. I got strong feelings about it. I talked to Fish before we got on the air and before you jumped on. What do they expect? It was a Boston Marathon. It was being televised all over the world. Mm-hmm. It was a bombing between two brothers that made homemade pipe bombs with pressure cookers. They killed 3 people. They injured 250 plus people. There was a movie about it with Mark Wahlberg. It was all over the news. how the hell is there a person other than someone that lives in a cave not know that happened? We like to laugh and joke about things on this, but this particular, when I read this, it kind of got the blood boiling a little bit. How does that lower court judge expect a jury to not know what happened prior to going into the courts? Go ahead, Porter.
It's moments like this in our judicial system that just makes you scratch your head. Common sense things, if you will. I stand in total agreement with you, unless you were just totally oblivious. Something like that is instantaneous, not local news, not state news, not even U.S. news. That is world news. Any type of terror attack is world news. You would have to have been in a coma throughout, that time for about 5 years to not understand and heard about that. So I don't even get this. I don't even know where to start with this. Just nonsense to me. I totally agree with you, brother. Vish?
Yeah, it's hard to find a impartial jury, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, as far as, do you guys have thoughts on the death penalty in general, or is that too deep?
Well, if it's the law of the land, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So, the horror that you inflict when you do something like this, hey, that's the law. That's what you got coming. You know what I'm saying?
Let's not just talk about the horror of those victims, those 3 that died, and those 250 plus people that got hurt. What about all those people watching it all over the world, watching that in horror?
You can't even calculate the damage that was done. So, I'm not saying I'm for or against. I'm saying if that's the law of the land, then hey, then that's what it is. Some argue that the death penalty does not deter crimes, and it's better to make them suffer. That's a whole nother argument too, as well. And I could go with the logic and all of that, but I'm not one that's out there with pickets saying, no death penalty. If that's the law of the land and you killed a bunch of people, I'll see you later.
Yeah,
that was from your pastor on the show.
Wow, wow. But you better keep that Skype video started on time there, brother, next time.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, so throw out there, I'm not in the pop culture lane. That's more Fisher's lane. But if you have not seen the movie called The Patriot, it's starring Mark Wahlberg, John Goodman. I mean, there's a ton of people in it. Kevin Bacon. It's a pretty good account to what happened that day. Yeah. Great acting. The story obviously is still, to me, like I said, it's still fresh in my mind. Recommend the movie.
I thought it was a documentary on Tom Brady, so I didn't even know. I'll go back and watch it now.
I got one other thing, talking about the cruise lines and that travel. A little bit of travel. First time on our show here. We're going to do a little bit something about travel, but cruise lines are looking to reopen come July 1st. I don't know if you guys have heard that. Little background with us. We went on a cruise back in 2018 for Mr. Brian Fisher's 50th birthday, and it was time of our lives. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We had an absolute blast.
I wouldn't have.
We had
a blast.
We did have a blast. Yeah, right. We since booked a cruise for this year for December for my 50th birthday, and someone else, one of the here that hasn't mentioned whether he's going to partake or not. He's just going to complain that he didn't go on the last one, I think. But we do have one scheduled for December of this year. But I tell you what, my thoughts is if there's any restrictions of any kind, we're not going to do it. Can't walk around a ship with a mask on. Can't walk around worried that you're going to get sick by somebody else or inflict sickness on somebody. That's not what you're going on vacation for. But here's what the story was: is the cruise line's looking to reopen in July 2021. The Royal Caribbean, they're going to take fully inoculated patrons to allow them to go on the ship and start sailing as soon as July 1st. There's no other restrictions noted to this point, but they are saying that they're only going to allow passengers on that are fully inoculated. to the COVID-19 virus, and they're looking to have more information come out in April or May. I talked to our cruise person back about 3-4 weeks ago. We were trying to decide, do we want to pay on our cruise and go in December? Do we want to cancel it now? And he told us just wait. And that kind of goes along the lines with the stories. He said, let's wait till June. Let's see where things are with all the inoculations. Let's see what the restrictions are going to be and make a decision from there. So my first thoughts are, if you want to go on a cruise, you should be able to go on a cruise. I don't think you need to be inoculated to still have a good time, but I think your restrictions, wearing a mask, things of that nature, need to be a little more strict than those that are supposed to be free of the virus that are inoculated. So that's just my opinion based on past experience and my thoughts and views on what's going on with COVID. But I thought it was interesting that cruise line, 40,000 people in Miami are employed through the cruise, through that port of Miami, along with dozens of cruise lines go through there, and there's a ton also in New Orleans. So I can only imagine the amount of people that have been out of work there.
Go ahead, take your fish.
Well, this obviously is impacting our personal life here. So myself, we didn't know what the restrictions may or may not be, but too many unknowns. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable personally getting on a ship that people are not. It's not mandatory to be vaccinated. That's me, because I don't, like you said earlier, I don't want to have any restriction. That defeats the purpose. I may as well save the money and do something at a smaller venue or do something else with loved ones and friends, whatever, that does not, it's because, the ships, I mean, I was very, very, very impressed as far as how clean everything was. They clean like crazy in a normal environment. I mean, they were dusting the lights every night, for crying out loud. So I felt very comfortable with a big crowd previously, with the food and all that stuff. But with this, even if you're vaccinated, we know there's still a lot of unknowns there too. We don't know yet, the variants. We talked about that last week. It just, and who knows what's going on the ports. I mean, for the most part, the ports are very controlled. As long, you don't have to venture off the port area. You could stay there, and it's pretty much just the passengers and everything from the ship for the most part. But I don't know, too many unknowns, not the right time for me. I would not be able to relax and enjoy myself. So for me, 2022, perhaps for a cruise for me. That's me.
Okay.
Keith, what do you think?
Wow. This is a little tricky. Number one, though the thought of the first person mandating a vaccine is a daunting thought, because that's a slippery slope, a whole nother subject. I believe what that's going to lead to. But that being said, I don't understand how you could have such a thing with so many people and so many people coming from every corner of the world and not have an issue. So I agree with Fish that I can understand why nobody would not even want to think about doing such a thing if everybody wasn't vaccinated. Not that I'm for the mandatory vaccine, but I totally understand his train of thought. Another thing, Fish, that I agree with, too many variables. And to make a decision at this time, I would just sit and watch what happens in other sects of life leading up to that. Because right now, there are a lot of things that are opening up. And there's smaller sample sizes. And I'm curious to what happens. We were talking today about the theaters are going to be opening up at the end of the month. So I'm curious to see what effects happen from that. You know what I'm saying? Or there is a surge of viruses, pop up or something like that. So I'd rather take a look at some other things that are going to happen prior to that before making a decision to get on a ship that has been everywhere, has people from everywhere. I don't care how clean it is. That's an awful lot.
A lot of unknowns. So.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did get that invitation, so but we'll see.
I think I want to wait till 2022 also before we start seeing that belly of his over there, in the buff. Know what I mean?
That's probably a good idea too.
Well, they have
to get it down.
Yeah, they have a lot of lifeboats, Keith, and that'd be good for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
I heard they got a pool and a pond.
Yeah, a pond would be good for you. Natural.
I think.
Hey guys, you keep making fun of me. Saturday, I'm going to get me a high colonic.
All right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's a good time.
It'll be a bonus TikTok video coming at you.
Yeah, I want to see that the first time that one.
I'll record as much as I can.
All right, fellas, that's all I got.
Okay. What is this? Is this a typhoon over in Tokyo? Like that? What's going on? All these people getting like washed away and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! All right, in the world of pop culture, Fish, what do you got for us, buddy?
Pop.
Thanks a lot, Skinner.
Culture. Yes. Yeah, good stuff, man. It's unfortunate timing, though, Skinner. Seriously, I mean, it's at least it's not like non-refundable and everything else. So we'll plan accordingly. But all right, pop culture. So in the world of something we all enjoy, certainly, is superhero everything. We're all comics fans. We're all movies fans. We've seen all of us. I think have seen all the Marvel movies and for years and years and years, and we've enjoyed that together many times as well over the years. So Disney Plus, they started with WandaVision as the first streaming superhero series, and actually that was not meant to be the first one they put out there because of the virus and everything else. They were able to finish the production on that one first, but we all agree that was pretty. Skinner, by the way, have you seen that yet?
I did get to finally see it. I did watch it.
Okay, cool.
Now, what did you think?
I liked it. Like I said, I had a hard time that first episode, first half.
First two of them, actually. You were kind of.
I'm like, okay, I'm watching Leave It to Beaver, but there's. But I'm watching Marvel. What is this?
It took about confused. 2.5 to start throwing you a bone for you to say, okay, something else afoot here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. But I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah. Very, very well done. Very highly produced. I mean, the special. It was a long movie. Is what it was basically.
And it was unique. That's what I like about the unique storyline. Besides we're heroes, bad guys. Let's fight. Total different. Yeah.
Definitely a nice bridge between the last movie, and it could tell a longer story, and it's a nice lead into the Doctor Strange movie next year, the multiverse, and all that's now introduced. So great stuff. So this past weekend, we had two big superhero streaming events. First of all, you had the new Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. So episode 1 debuted, and that was supposed to be the first show, actually, but they couldn't finish it. So we're not going to spoil it here, but a couple interesting dynamics in the show that you pick up on pretty quickly. And one is the Winter Soldier has to atone for prior sins, and you see something where he has to deal with that, which is a very interesting dynamic of the show. And then what we talked about off camera as well is the Falcon really humanizes a superhero. I think WandaVision did that as well, because she dealt, here's a woman really dealing with the grief of the loss of her husband. They really portrayed that well. And then here it was like, here's real life superhero issues. And it struck me as sort of like a Peter Parker type thing too, because Spider-Man always had troubles, and there's without going into the details, but the Falcon talks about, hey, we don't get paid as superheroes, and it's like, whoa,
right?
And it's like you thought, we always assumed that, if you're in the Avengers and working for the government and this and that, they kind of help them out. You don't really think about their personal lives like that. Can they make a living? And here's a guy that's a superhero trying to do right, and it's like he mentions, oh, we don't get paid, and it's like, wow. And it causes some issues and things like that. So I thought that was a very interesting dynamic of this series. So it'll be kind of neat to see where that goes with his family and the other stuff. So it's both those characters instantly were more human in the series, I thought. What do you guys think?
Well, I totally agree with you. I thought that was the biggest thing to me. Now, unlike Wanda, we
Hmm.
saw the emotional content of Wanda as far as her love for the Vision. When the Vision told her, "Hey, Thanos tries to take the Mind Stone, kill me," and of
Hmm.
course, the emotion when she had to, it was very emotional. And even in the end game, when we saw not only her emotion, but we saw the power of Wanda, she was
Yeah.
actually taking it to Thanos. He
Hmm.
had said rain fire. So we've seen her emotion. We've also seen the whole theme of the Winter Soldier has been him atoning for past sins. But we've
Hmm.
never seen anything about the Falcon outside of him being the hero. So this
Yeah.
was just an awesome take of see the human side of this guy. He's got family members. He's got nephews. Parents just passed away while he was gone for 5 years. Money issues. It was just great. The first 10 minutes of it, I thought was just unbelievable action.
Yeah.
That was
Oh
just
yeah.
the
Terrific.
first 10 minutes I thought was just great, and then
Yeah.
after that, the human stories was phenomenal. So kudos to Marvel for not just feeding us the same stuff,
Yeah.
or regurgitating them. I mean, they're really thinking and really taking these stories to different levels. I was really
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, like Wanda, I'm behind you guys. I haven't seen it yet, but
Hmm.
we got to see the life and the story of Tony Stark. We got to see the life and the family of Ant-Man and Wasp. We got to see the family
Mm,
life of a lot of these characters. Even Wanda, now that we've gotten to see her,
right.
and but we have not heard much about Falcon. We
Not
knew
at all. He was probably the least.
he was the least
Yeah,
unknown character out of everybody that we've seen over the
which was
last
also pleasant.
13,
Yeah,
14
Yeah.
years.
I
And
agree.
it was
Yeah.
like that with the comics too. From I remember right, he was kind of the unknown. So you guys talking about him having this family interaction, I cannot wait to see it now
Yeah.
because I want to see where he came from. I've
Yeah.
always been fascinated with him being able to fly in a different fashion than how Thor does it, than how Tony Stark does it with. And so I'm very anxious now, and I'm very happy to hear what you guys are talking about. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I'll be watching it tomorrow for sure.
Not only do I like
Yeah.
the character, but I like Anthony Mackie playing him.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
And so to get more of him is great. The emergence, the growth of the character in the comic books. He was Black Falcon,
Yep.
which I was totally annoyed about. Every black superhero had black in front of their names
Uh,
growing up. We get it. We can see
we did need
Black
it.
Panther, Black Vulcan. Yeah, it's not called White Superman and White. But
Yeah,
anyway, so and then the jetpack suit. We've gotten away from the original story, but I really dig it, And of
mhm.
Yeah.
course, his little sidekick is a real
Hmm.
bird in the
Yep.
comics. But
Yep.
it's 2020. I get it, and so whatever. But just to see more storyline on him besides following Captain America around was really really great. I've always had this thought in my mind, guys, that hey, Stark gave everybody a spending account. You know what I mean? Here's a credit card. Don't spend over $1 million.
Right.
But
If anybody could do it, it could have been. It should have
yeah.
been him.
So very surprising. Very nice.
Yep. Good stuff. And they picked it up nicely from Falcon getting
Very yes.
Captain America's shield, and then you wonder, is he going to take the mantle or not? And
Yes. They
they
tied that
definitely
together
they
nicely.
jump into
Yes.
that as well. Yeah, but
I
again,
can't wait to see it, guys.
the first 5 minutes, like he said, it's the some of the best
Oh
action that
man.
you'll see, and it really takes anyway. So good stuff, highly recommended. Check it out there if you haven't seen it already. And then we also had the marathon movie, Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League, 4 hours long. I could not get to it. And I will watch it. I was not a fan of the original cut. I thought it
Mhm.
was too long. I don't know. It just to me it just was not done well. It was too quirky and this and that, and
Mhm.
I don't get how they can't get these characters right.
Right.
Don't understand it at all. So I see mixed reviews, some very, very good, some not so good. I mean, which I guess is expected. So without any spoilers, I didn't get to it at all yet. I know Keith, you saw it. What are
Mhm.
your initial thoughts?
Okay. Well, first of all, I want you to understand this before you watch it. There's a big difference, I would imagine, of Zack Snyder taking what was already done and fixing it up as opposed to him doing the whole movie. I would imagine if he had done the whole movie, it would be something very spectacular. My initial thoughts on the first movie was like, man, they just don't have the formula like Marvel. But it was entertaining for what it was worth. But there was too many questions not answered that didn't make any sense. And one of the reasons that the movie is so long, he took the time to answer a lot of those questions, things that we had to just assume we figured out how they got here. And I really appreciated that. There was some addition to some other characters. That was awesome. And there was some serious changes done in with the storyline in some areas. So I thought he did a tremendous job. I couldn't stop watching it just when you thought it was over. It kept going. And I think it blows the first one out of the water.
Okay. All right. So I know it's good you haven't seen it yet, right?
Nope. When I found out, especially I found out it's 4 hours. Yeah, it's gonna take me a little bit to get to it.
One little spoiler: just bringing Superman back with the black Superman suit was totally cool. It was more along the line of the comic book story, and you got to see how it got all to that. There was no assumption. Everything that happened, you saw why and the reason for it and where it came from.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay.
Very good
stuff. All right. I will watch. I know that my other buddy Dean Harvey, who you mentioned, I never mentioned his name. I call him out. So Dean, I do the other podcast with Convincing Idiots, but he's a big Superman fan and he enjoyed it. So you enjoyed it, he enjoyed it. That's two positive endorsements in my mind.
Will you come back and give us your take on it? Okay,
yeah, sure
great.
will.
I'm interested in hearing that.
Thank you. So we had
Skinner
the
too.
Oscar. Yes, Skinner, absolutely.
Yep, I will make sure.
Sorry,
go ahead, buddy.
No, I'll make sure I watch it this week.
Okay, very good. We had Oscar nominations come out, and obviously a whole different feel to it this year with
I still didn't get nominated.
Movie. Nope, not yet. Maybe someday. Someday we'll get a participation trophy from the Oscars, perhaps, or maybe a lifetime achievement or something like that. Actually, we're Gen X. We don't need no participation.
Yeah, we don't need no stinking participation.
Get that crap out of here. You win or lose. That's it.
There's no second place.
That's right. So the Oscars, obviously, clearly a lot of big movies were not released in theaters last year, so it's really upended the awards this year. I don't think they're doing any big thing, certainly with the pandemic. So Mank got a lot of awards. Mank's a story about the man who co-wrote Citizen Kane. Yeah, got a lot of not awards, but nominations, I should say. The one thing I picked up on this year was that it seems that it's definitely more of a diverse nomination crowd this year, which includes a Asian American, actually the guy that played Glenn on Walking Dead. I liked him a lot on that show, but nominated for Best Actor, and you had a female Asian American. I think she's Asian American. Forgive me, but director be nominated for Best Director. So just to kind of across the board, without getting a lot of details here, it was a more diverse nomination, which is nice to see. Hopefully that continues as we go forward with this award.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Fish.
Sure, go ahead.
Before you give them the humanitarian award, do
Yeah,
you
you're
think
right.
that diversity is because of lack of content due to the pandemic?
Great question. So I'm sure that's a factor, and I guess it remains to be seen. So we'll see next year.
It'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Yes, from the movies that come out this year. I guess maybe a few years. We'll see if any trends continue. But at the very least, it's at least it's something. Let's hope it continues for sure.
Okay.
So let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Are these nominees worthy of the nomination, or is it because they're trying to be diverse? It's a fair question.
Well,
I'm just trying to throw it out there just for, I don't want to do any speculation, but just curious to see what, like you said, we'll know more next year as movies go on. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you wonder about that, certainly. I mean, when I see Borat is up for nominations and for Golden
Yeah,
Globes and things, I'm like, that movie was
for
okay, but
sure.
certainly if you have normal volume of content out there, it's probably not the best. So that's just
He's going to be left off.
that's one small indication, I guess.
Mm-mm.
But we'll see. But at least you start somewhere a little bit here. Let's see. I won't really go into a lot of this, but 1 year ago, recently, was the anniversary of the Tiger King documentary on Netflix, which was one of the craziest things I ever saw. That was right at when the lockdown started to occur. That thing came out. It was crazy,
Mm.
nuts. So they talked about some of so the Tiger King's actually he's in jail. He's still in jail. He's not getting out anytime soon. Uh, uh, some of the characters are still doing their thing a little bit, and they are still planning other spin-offs of people playing. I heard Nicolas Cage is going to play the Tiger King in some type of mini series or something like that. Crazy stuff. So that was definitely a cultural phenomenon when that came out last year. I know you guys didn't see it, so I won't even go into details there, but I
Right.
thought it was crazy nuts. And then over the weekend, interesting documentary on the demise of the Blockbuster video store franchise. It's airing on Netflix, which some people found ironic because some people just automatically assume that Netflix put Blockbuster out of business, which is actually not true. So Blockbuster, went pretty much out of business for a lot of its own decisions. As a matter of fact,
Interesting.
they had the opportunity to buy Netflix. Netflix presented themselves to them to sell the company for like $50 million. Blockbuster basically said, take a hike. And now you see where both companies went. Blockbuster is worth like, several $100 billion.
Yes.
And Netflix, it kind of zeroed in on there's one official Blockbuster store left in Oregon,
Oh
and
my.
they talked a lot to the manager. It's like a local town. It's everything that you imagine the video store still is. That's what this is. People travel from literally around the country and some around the world just to see the last Blockbuster. Some grew up working at Blockbusters and they want to go out and experience that again and stuff like that. So it's still hanging on in this little town. There you have it. But so uh, first of all, if you get a chance, check out the documentary.
Right.
Worth the view.
Definitely
It's
want to see
not the
that.
greatest one you're ever going to see, but it's on Netflix and it's a
But
recent
just
thing.
nostalgia's sake, period. It would be good to
That's
watch.
right. So it made me reflect. Okay, now
Okay.
for years and years and years, I
Well,
refused to succumb to streaming. I prefer when my daughter Peyton grew up, I prefer to do the old fashioned, go down to a
yeah.
local video time here in Southwest Akron, Kenmore
Kids, get off
area.
my lawn.
Yeah, but
Right.
I liked the traditional. Get a pizza. We go walk in. We get the selection of movies. And you can read the movies and read the
Yeah.
descriptions and all that stuff. I liked all that stuff.
I,
Now, is that something that now I also like streaming? I like to be able to sit in my home and just
mm,
pull it up and watch it,
mm,
and not have to return anything and all that stuff. So
okay.
obviously in our generation, that was very, very big for us to go rent a video, rent a movie,
Yes.
something that we all did for many, many years. Is that something you miss or no, it's too convenient? What are your thoughts on just the general miss and demise of the video stores in general?
Well, one of the things I want to be fair and
Mm-hmm.
say this: it is very easy to say now how much we miss that because it's gone.
Yeah,
Also, in the pandemic age right now, we feel nostalgic for a lot of things like that. So I just want to be fair and put
sure.
that out there. Um, it just blows my mind that we have a generation growing up that will never know about that experience. And it had its negative effect just going. And of course, always returning the movie, getting
Mm-hmm.
fined for not having it rewound,
Yep.
having to wait forever to rewind it, to take all that good stuff. But overall, going to the video store, you know, especially the big movie, you know, get there before it's already all gone, and that whole 9 yards. It was a good experience for the most part, but it had its bad parts too. I
Mhm.
enjoy streaming. Anytime I want to watch something, I can pull it up. Boom, boom, boom. You know, I got the Disney Plus, the HBO Max. I got the free one on my phone. I can watch whatever I want at no cost. I enjoy the convenience of that, and that's great. I miss anything that calls social interaction because I think
Yeah.
that's the problem we're having today. Too much technology is causing less social interaction. Talking to
Yeah.
people at the video store. Have you seen it yet? Oh man, it was great. You know, just that whole thing. I miss
Yeah.
all that stuff. So,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, it's very interesting. You know, Blockbuster. You see it in. I think the last movie I saw was Captain Marvel. You know, and it was a kind of a throwback homage in that
Yep.
movie. And
Sure.
I think it's kind of an old joke, but I do miss it. Uh, I think just the social interaction and the getting the whole pizza, like you said, the whole preparing for a good night. I missed that part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
Skinner, what do you
it's
think?
funny. It's funny you talk about this subject. Is I just got done watching a program on Amazon, an Amazon original called Red Oaks. It
Mhm.
takes place back in 1984. I think 85 to 87 is what the 3 seasons are. And the term "be kind, rewind" was brought out right very early
Good
Mm.
one,
on.
yes.
And
Sure.
they were at a video store, and the guy opens up the video, and he's put it in that video rewind tape
Hey,
machine,
Skinner, you were hot stuff if you had a rewinder.
video rewinder.
The old
Exactly right.
rewinder,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, like
but if you
the one
guys
in the
have,
VCR wasn't good enough, where you had to buy a
Right.
separate rewinder. That's
Well,
funny.
the
Yeah, go
whole
ahead.
selling point was it took wear and tear off your VCR. So,
that's another show I recommend. It's called Red Oaks. Three
Okay.
seasons. They were supposed to do a fourth. I don't know what happened, but Paul Reiser's in it from
okay,
uh,
yeah.
I forget what that show
Mad
was
about
with
you.
Helen Hunt. Mad
Mad
About
about
You.
you.
Yeah, he's one of the big ones in there. But it's a good show anyway. I used to love going to the video stores because I used to take the kids.
Mm.
My children, my older children, they probably don't remember it anymore. Mike, Chelsea, and Bean, you listen to the show. You have to tell me if you guys remember me taking you to the store. First thing we did is go to that kids section, and they got to pick out their movie, and then we
Yep.
went to the adult section and picked out the not the rated X
Okay, I was
room,
about to say you might want to
not
fix
the
that
rated
up,
X room,
not the
but
clerk.
the
Dad's
older
got to go
kid
behind the
movie.
beads here
Yeah,
for a second.
Yeah, right.
Dad has to
No,
go back there and talk to the manager behind the curtain.
I didn't open a curtain and say, "Hey, don't move." No, it wasn't that. Let's talk about the older kid movies. And then
Okay,
I'd
we
take
got
them to the candy aisle, and they got to pick out their candy. And if we want the specialty popcorn, they had that. So I missed that interaction as well. But you guys know I cut the cable 7, 8 years ago, so I stream everything from television
right.
shows to I have the antenna on the roof that I can watch the local channels. But I do miss the interaction,
Yeah.
like Keith says. Today's kids don't know what it's like to sit in front of somebody and have a conversation.
Nope.
If you put them in the same room and put a phone in their hands, they'll talk all day. But you take the phones away from them or the computers away from them and tell them you need to talk, they're going to sit there and be totally dumbfounded and not know how to handle themselves. And that's
Yeah.
where the problems are. Some of the problems that we have today with communication. I know I took this beyond a little bit, and I apologize, but yeah,
Right.
that social interaction with the movies, going to the music stores that we talked about with coconuts in the previous episode, all that needs to come back in some form to get these kids back to interacting with each other.
All right.
Yeah, the one thing that just to finish the thought here, that one thing that on the documentary, it's a guy. If they zero in on him a little bit too, and he's a local guy. The video store is within walking distance of his house. He's probably around our age, right? He could do all the streaming and stuff there too, but he likes it's a excuse for him. It's his routine to leave his house, go down the street, see people, talk, get recommendations, check out the staff picks, all that stuff. It's it's good for him to get out. And I don't know that he gets out. Who knows? But it's definitely for him. It's an opportunity to go out and socialize with other people, just to go to the local video store. He purposely, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so you're right.
All right.
It is something missing in that respect. So anyway, that's what I got this week in pop culture. Keith, what do you got in the world of sports?
Okay, well, look here, guys. Not too big a week in sports. However, the biggest thing going on in sports, obviously, is March Madness, the return of the tournament. This time last year, a lot of broken-hearted kids. Unfortunately, this time, there's still a lot of broken-hearted kids because there is an upset of mass proportion in the tournament. Of course, all of us near the brackets were busted the first week of the tournament because Big Ten number 2 ranked Ohio State shocked by Oral Roberts. So I never heard more curse words and brackets being torn up on one day, such as that. Of course, we thought it was a fluke. One of those things that happened, and Oral Roberts is in the Sweet 16. Just shocking, but that's what the tournament's about, right?
Yep.
But it's going on with several teams. You've got Jim Boeheim has Syracuse doing the unbelievable. You have Loyola, Chicago. I meant to mention it last week, my bad, but that was the anniversary of Loyola making it big 3 years ago. And of course, the big story was about their beloved fan, Sister Jean, who was very, very up in age, made the tournament. She's there again with them today at 101 years old. Yeah. Just an awesome story. If you haven't followed that story, very inspiring to these young kids, a very human story. And I love it because these kids aren't too, big for their britches, that they don't appreciate this woman and the stories that she has and the support that she gives. So that's one of my favorite stories in all of college basketball. So big upsets in the tournaments, guys. I don't know if you guys have caught any teams that you're following or been shocked by any.
I watched the Ohio State game.
I know about Loyola. I know about Oral Roberts. I caught those, but I just haven't picked up on it yet this year.
Okay. Well, just good stuff. Keep an eye on that. Now let's go to the NBA. Something we're not used to hearing in the last 17 years. LeBron James out indefinitely. LeBron James, one of his huge attributes, because in any sports, I always say your best ability is your availability. This guy has always been there. He takes care of his body, spends a tremendous amount of money on his body. He's built like a Mack truck, and he never gets hurt, but he is out with a high ankle sprain indefinitely. Of course, Anthony Davis has been out as well. This changes everything for one of the front runner Lakers in the West now. And so probably for the second time in 12 years, we might see a finals or at least the playoffs without LeBron James. Amazing thing to think about. If you got a kid that's 15, 16, 18 years old, from the time they probably started even being able to pay attention to basketball, have known nothing but LeBron James in the finals. That's kind of amazing to think about it, guys.
Yeah, quite the career he's had so far. Of course, we're from Northeast Ohio. He's from Akron, where we're all from here. So he's certainly very prevalent around here, and he still does good things for the local community here. So we certainly, a lot of people, love LeBron James around here. So, that's a shame, and I hate to have any player, regardless of star power. I think we all agree with that, to get hurt and not be able to participate. But you're right. It's a whole generation of fans he's
or
always
at least
been there.
Defend your title. If you're current champ, what you be able to at least defend it. If you lose, you lose, but have the chance.
Absolutely, and you're right. It's too bad. It's too bad. So you probably open the door for maybe the Clippers or somebody, and then you got the super team and the Nets in Brooklyn. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Now, if LeBron can play safely, he'll try to come back, I'm sure, and he'll do what he can. But I don't think he's one that's going to be kind of stupid about it either, because he knows that longevity and everything else is more important and all that. So. I don't
I'd
know.
be more
What do you think,
concerned
Skinner? Go
about
ahead, go Keith.
Utah before Skinner goes. I'm more concerned about Utah and the Clippers than
Yes,
I am
you're
the
right.
Nets, because the Brooklyn Nets team is tremendous, but those guys can't stay healthy.
True.
So, go ahead,
True.
Skinner.
Yeah, it is surprising to hear LeBron James getting hurt because, while he's near and dear to everyone here in Northeast Ohio, you just don't hear about him getting hurt.
No.
When he went down in a couple of different times during the playoffs, everybody was riding him, saying he was a quitter, and if it was on a team that wasn't going to make it, it was all bull crap. If the guy's ailing, he's ailing. But to hear him out indefinitely at this stage of his career, it's pretty shocking, to be truthful. We thought he was indestructible, like you said. He spends all kinds of time and money on his body, on his nutrition. Like you said, he's built like a freaking Mack truck. You ever been in front of him? He's just a specimen.
Yeah, it's
unlike anything.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Sorry. I'll say one thing about LeBron too. I've always respected and it's Michael Jordan did this, and I'm sure was influenced by him and all those big guys in the 80s, Magic, Bird, all those guys. If I paid a ticket to go see the Chicago Bulls, I was going to see Michael Jordan play. Yeah. That's it. If I paid a ticket to go see the Lakers, I was going to see Magic Johnson. If I wanted to see the Celtics, I was going to see Larry Bird play. Those guys were going to play. LeBron James, I don't care what team he plays for, the Cavs, as we know, the Heat, the Lakers. If you buy a ticket to go see LeBron James, you are almost certain you're going to see LeBron James. Some players, as we know, some players don't treat it that way. It's like they want to take their rotations and their rest, and that's not great for the fans.
Back. I'm tired. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So LeBron James plays every game and many, many, many minutes. So it's a shame. So hopefully he gets well and he can come back at a high level. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the thrills of my life was when I was at the University of Akron and worked for WZIP Sports. Getting to not only interview and take pictures with LeBron, but the rest of the team as well. If you're on my Facebook page, go to the WZIP photo album. You can see those pictures there. But just to stand next to him was just awe-inspiring. Just like, oh my gosh. We wish him the best. He's had a tremendous career. Maybe this is the first sign of wear and tear. Maybe it's just a fluke. We don't know. But hopefully he'll be back soon. All right. Now, guys, talk about your millennial, or not millennial, but Gen X story here. We're going to go in the world of boxing. One of the phenomena that we saw growing up, the likes of which we've never seen before and haven't seen since, was the emergence of Mike Tyson.
Mr. Tyson.
Guys, did you think in 2021, we will still be talking about Mike Tyson fighting?
No, not at all.
The story came out that he was just he denied $25 million to fight one of his, I don't want to say arch nemesis, but the fight between him and Evander Holyfield was legendary. They said they offered him $25 million to fight on Memorial Day. Of course, the big story was the second fight where he bit off a piece of Evander's ear and spit it out. I never saw anything like that in my life. Lots of jokes and things to this day. Guys, if Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson were to get it on again, would you pay to watch it?
I'll take this one. About 5 minutes to go. I'm not sure I'm going to pay a pay-per-view to go see that, truthfully. Mike Tyson, back in the day when the pay-per-view first came out, he made his money then. And I was one of those to help pay on a Saturday night. We would get a group of people over to watch Mike Tyson. Didn't care about the rest of the card. We wanted to see that 15, 20, 45 seconds of Mike Tyson, and we were done. So do I want to see 50-plus-year-old men, almost 60? No, I really don't, to be truthful. Okay. It's a great story. Takes us back to thinking about how Mike and even Evander, he was a great fighter back in the day, too. We don't see guys like those. You can talk all you want about Mayweather and all those other ones that have been, that are now considered has-beens. He's a clown, but you didn't see Tyson. You didn't see Sugar Ray Leonard. You didn't see Evander Holyfield. You didn't see any of those. You don't see
Guys
any
like
of those
Mayweather and what's that idiot, the Irish guy, the UFC.
Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I got you. What do you got?
McGregor.
McGregor. Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the original fight was one of the craziest things you probably ever will see in the world of boxing, and it was a shame because Holyfield didn't really get the opportunity to finish the fight on his own terms.
Right.
I think he would have won that fight fair and square. I think Tyson probably felt like he was going to lose that fight, and so he did something crazy to get out of there. It's what it smelled like at the time. And I'm with you. I mean, Tyson looks like he's a physical specimen. I mean, I'm impressed by the training and all that stuff. It is motivating in that respect. But yeah, I'm an interested. We talked about the death last week of the marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Mm-hmm.
You never saw a guy like that come back and do any of that stuff. He retired at the top of his game, and he's not coming back to make a buck. It feels like they're trying to wring our generation of some cash. Let's try to get some people to watch these fights years ago. Let's get some money from them in pay-per-view. So yeah, not interested.
And even though, like you said, he looks tremendous. I mean, I would mess with him. There, the old joke where they say, "What would you do if Mike Tyson slapped your girl?" I look at her and go, "What'd you do?"
Right.
Messing with that man. Okay, real quick, guys. Getting out of boxing, let's just go to music real quick. In the world of music, this day in music, the Bay City Rollers had a #1 hit in the UK, Bye Bye Baby. Bay City Rollers were a cultural phenomenon, especially among white kids during that time. We didn't know too much about them, but we heard about them. They were pretty big. Of course, they had the one big hit that everybody remembers, but they were emerging around 1975 and never did much after that. But
70s bubblegum music. Yep.
Yeah. What'd you say, Skinner? Comments?
I just he said 70s bubblegum music, but I just chuckled.
Okay. Also in 1992, we grew up in the MTV era. Some of the bands were just video. Some bands had the formula. They were just putting out videos that, whether you like the music or not, they were just good videos. They were just good bands. And one of the bands that we, heard a lot, not in the beginning, but maybe towards the middle, was Tears for Fears. They officially broke up in 1992. Still great songs to this day. Mm-hmm. And also in 1984, very interesting. If you saw the movie, this was kind of a point in the movie too. Queen, who in my opinion, I think Queen is one of the only groups who, when they were out, they were ahead of their time. They've been gone technically for 30 years and they're still ahead of their time. But they did the song, I Want to Break Free. And when they shot the video, they shot it in drag, which if you did that today, nobody would bat an eye. Mm-hmm. But back then, this caused quite a stir. Brian May of the band says this is the video that killed Queen in the United States. Thoughts, Fisher?
Well, it's just that, you say it's changing of the times. I mean, back then it was not very well received. It's not people weren't quite as open-minded. Videos took another audience or brought another audience into music in a different way. Certainly, I remember seeing people like Boy George and some other band. Just like I wasn't quite getting it. Is he a man or a woman? I don't really understand. I don't know that I really cared per se. But you're right. A lot of people just weren't quite ready for that at the time. I respect them for doing it. So you know what, we're going to do this. To hell with you. I respect it, but definitely, like you say, I'm sure it didn't help their career at the time, unfortunately. So
Skinner?
I agree with you. Especially after going back and watching Bohemian Rhapsody, which is one of the better movies about music life that's ever been created. Yes. I'd be remiss not to mention the movie, but 1984. I remember some things back then. From we remember us growing up. Mm-hmm. That was not a good look back then.
I don't know. It was hard
today.
To
today you just look at it. Oh, okay, another one of these situations, and move on. Back then, it wasn't a good look, and it probably did kill their career in the U.S.
Already the rumors about his sexuality and all those things probably did help. Well, real quick, since you mentioned about being remiss, I'd be remiss if I didn't backtrack around sports. one huge story that I forgot to mention, because
yeah.
weeks ago we talked about the free agency possibilities of Houston, Texas quarterback Deshaun Watson. Talked about teams that were willing to give up the back the Brinks truck up for this guy, and trades as well. Now, huge amount of sexual misconduct charges, civil lawsuits. We want to make sure we say that clear, not criminal. Civil lawsuits being levied at him. I believe we're in the 20s now. If these are true, this guy is getting more action than OJ in a women's prison during Black History Month, because this is just crazy, man. I know a lot of teams are going, whoo, dodge that bullet. True or not true, it still has to have due process. Not going to be good for Deshaun Watson for a while. Fish?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna, like you say, it's gonna. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere now, especially. I mean, Houston is already expressing, desire to keep him anyway. But you're right that some teams wouldn't care, I'm sure, but there'll be other teams that might have been interested to pursue that may back off because they don't want the publicity nightmare that may come with that, with fans turned off, and who knows what you might get there. So. Yeah, he really. But you know what? If he did any of it, then he deserves to be impacted negatively.
Absolutely.
About it. So, two sides to every story. But
right.
Yep. But let's see what happens. But yeah, Skinner, what do you think?
Yeah, same way. They all those teams dodged a bullet. At least that's what they're thinking today with all the publicity he's getting, and it's not the publicity he wants. I hope it's untrue for his sake, but I can't imagine 20 plus people giving the same story from different walks of life. I don't know how it can't be true if it's that case, but due process will occur, and if he committed the act, what is that old phrase that we used to be told? If you play, you're going to pay in some way, shape, or another. So, with that being said. Fellas, we're up against it. Another great show, I think, in the books. Real quick, if you're listening to us on WMVU, you can find us on YouTube and Facebook. Look up for excerpts of the beginning of this show, probably on TikTok a little later on.
Yeah, like second recording. Yeah,
second or third recording.
First recording.
But. Another great show. I will watch those shows that we talked about this week. I want to make sure I get back up to snuff with you guys, because really want to see Falcon. I want to see that storyline.
Yeah.
And then that Hollywood video or Blockbuster video should be a good one too. So
Fish,
with that being said,
what's that?
You still going to the gym?
Yes.
All right. I think I am too. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to your son, Mike Skinner Jr. Phenomenal job with the show, producing it all the way out of Seattle, Washington. Love you, nephew. Great job.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, fellas. For Mike Skinner, Brian Fisher, and the one and only Keith Porter, we bid you farewell, and we will see you next week.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Love you, brothers.
Love you too.